Hello, I hope you're safe and well in these challenging and chaotic lockdown times. My name's Stephen Waddington. I'm an agency exec, teacher and a writer. I want to use this isolated session to talk about creativity as the basis of conversation between a brand and its customers. COVID-19 has led to an upheaval in how brands communicate, and I think it's a really rich area to explore. A brand typically has one of two responses in a crisis. It either goes silent and stops marketing, or it over-communicates. And the best responses are rooted in listening, engaging using creative campaigns and content, and providing support and empathy to customers. COVID-19 has also led to a massive shift to digital communications. It's been a trend for the last 20 years, but organisations have really piled into email, social and the web, and that's because they've had to. Most outdoor experiential events, meetings and print simply don't work for campaigns. It's led to a saturation and brands struggling to cut through using digital media. We've also learned that it's not possible to replicate physical campaigns or events in a digital space. They need to be created from the ground up. Brands frequently overlook the fact that the internet is democratic, and here's the challenge in the rapid shift to digital. Consumers have access to the same media and channels. They can create their own content and they can answer back, and they do. So you can build gorgeous apps and websites, you can build the most beautiful and creative campaigns on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But if your product or service doesn't meet my expectation as a customer, and you don't give me the opportunity to have a proper conversation with you about it, I'm going to use the self-selling channels you use to call you out. Brands simply aren't good at conversations. They want to talk about themselves like needy friends. Instead of listening, they shout about the latest products or service. Industrialized marketing techniques have been retrofitted onto the internet, and it doesn't work. The nature of brand conversations during COVID-19 depends on how both the brand and its customers have been impacted by the crisis. And I've spotted 4 responses from lockdown brands in my network. So first one, brands have either shut down. Second, brands have found new markets. Third, brands have shifted to public information. And fourth, brands have benefited from growth. I want to explore examples from each of these areas from a network. So lockdown has had the most dramatic impact on entertainment, events, retail, travel and transport, and businesses in these markets have cut costs and they've sought government help. The train operator that runs the line LNER on the UK East Coast from London to Scotland has been running a reduced service for essential travel only. It's providing updates to its customers with travel and timetable information, and its tone has shifted from conversational to supportive. It's sharing a series of train driver cab rides on YouTube, and its social media managers are reading for kids from books including Thomas the Tank Engine. It's a lovely creative response to the lockdown. Another of my favourite brands, Greggs the Bakers, has shut down all of its retail outlets, but it's been engaging with its customers via its social media channels. So a series of Greggs it yourself, sort of do-it-yourself video recipes have been created and shared widely, and these enable customers to create their own Greggs baked goods at home. It's a great means of engaging with customers during lockdown because they then share the social content, and this content has been picked up widely by earned media in the national print press. The second area of brand conversation is brands that have moved into new markets, and there's been lots of examples of strong leadership in this area. So educational providers have moved online, wholesalers are selling direct to the public, and manufacturers have retooled production to make things like safety equipment. It's been often said by members of the isolated community that we didn't know so many CEOs cared about customers so much until the COVID crisis, because brands have over-communicated by email almost daily with updates. But Sainsbury's supermarket has taken a really reassuring approach. Emails from its CEO, Mike Cope, have provided information about the safety of staff, supply chains and stores, and they're written in a really human way. At the outset of the crisis, the Sainsbury's did over-communicate, but it's quickly settled into a regular cadence and now only sends an email when it's got something to say, and that's a good approach. Where lots of restaurants have simply shut down, one of my local favourite restaurants, Elder and Wolf in Whitley Bay near Newcastle, has completely reskinned its website and is offering home deliveries via its menu on WhatsApp. It's proved incredibly popular in our household, and it's a great example of a pivot. The third type of brand response is local government, health services and blue light services. These have all redirected communication to providing public information supporting the government's response to the crisis. So apps, social media channels and websites have switched to provide a local context to government guidance. My local council, Newcastle City Council, is signposting to information about support and information, carrying content from business loans to schools to funerals. It's now started to talk about the release of lockdown and the reopening of services. Doncaster Council further south has taken this a stage further. It's used history lessons via threads and memes on Twitter to educate and entertain its citizens. A recent story about the Australian agricultural industry's battle with emus in the 1930s likened the emu's response of isolating to surviving with the COVID-19 lockdown. It's a really creative and unexpected example of brand storytelling. There are, of course, a few areas of the economy that not only prove to be resilient, but are experiencing growth through the crisis. And this is the fourth area of brand communication. These include online retail, telecom and IT providers, and they haven't missed a beat. The challenge here is to meet new levels of demand without appearing opportunistic. So Netflix, Sky TV and Zoom are all focused on customer service. Their marketing has remained always on, although tweaked for the lockdown. And customer service has moved to digital channels. So if we've learned anything about marketing during the crisis and rapid shift online, it's that the internet really is a conversation. It gives us the opportunity to listen and understand our audiences, our customers, our consumers, and engaging with them using creative ideas and content in an empathetic way. People, brands and organisations have all piled in during the crisis. And my plea to you would be, learn from this. If you have a role in communicating on behalf of an organisation, please start by listening. Be useful, communicate in a creative and human way. And a final point, please don't post any more shit on the internet because it's full. There's plenty enough out there already. I hope that was useful. I hope you found it interesting. If you want to connect with me, I'm Wads on Twitter. Thanks very much.